There are a lot of great songs in the world, but what makes them so great? Let's take a look. First up, While My Guitar Gently Weeps by the Beatles. Written in 1968 by George Harrison after returning from India, where the Beatles were learning transcendental meditation. One of the techniques the song uses is called parallel keys. Simply put, the song starts in the A minor key, and when the chorus hits, it goes to the parallel key A major. Basically, the keys have the same starting and finishing points, but the journey throughout the keys is a little bit different. The easiest way to hear modulation like this in a song is a mood change, and in this song it feels like an elevation of the mood. Just hits every time in this song, doesn't it? So good! And then shifts back to the minor key. Is this the only reason this song is great? Of course not. It's just a really interesting example of this technique, and I thought I'd point that out. Next up, Wuthering Heights, a song written by Kate Bush based off the book of the same name. She was 18 when she wrote it. Let me just contemplate my existence for a minute.
Who am I?
Okay, so what technique does this song beautifully demonstrate? Chromatic medians, displayed mostly in the verse, but let's first take a listen. Now, there doesn't seem to be a 100% concrete definition that everyone agrees on, so here's my best example to describe how this song uses this technique in particular. The first chords of the verse are A major, F major, E major, and C sharp major. A chromatic median is when the chord's root notes are related by a major third or a minor third, and they contain one common tone. Let me show you what I mean. So the piano goes down a third from A major to F major, where the chords share one common tone. In this example, it is the A note. Then the E major chord goes down to the C major chord, again showing one common tone, having the root note of each chord be related by a third. It creates this very regal feeling. It's a very interesting and fun technique to play around with. Elton John uses it quite a lot as well, and once you become aware of it, it's a really fun thing to consciously do. Sus chords! Okay, so let's listen to this section just before the chorus hits. Here we have an F sus4 chord on the lyrics, with the ring, with the ring. Beautifully done, you're welcome. A sus chord creates a dissonance, a sense that the chord needs to be resolved. So when the chord finally resolves, the tension is released. So every time we hit the chorus, there's this release of tension. We can relax into the chorus, making the most catchy part of the song hit even harder, in my opinion. So where you choose to place a sus chord is also very important, I think, because it does create that sort of release of tension. Next up, Comfortably Numb. I very much skimmed over this point in my reaction, and I really want to take time to talk about it, so let's do it. Released as part of the Wall album by Pink Floyd, the song tells the story of a depressed rock star who is being medicated so that he can go out and perform on stage. The technique I want to talk about is called relative keys, not to be confused with parallel keys. Relative keys are two different keys that use the exact same pitches, but they are arranged in a different order. Essentially, they have different starting points and ending points, but they use the same pitches within the key. So the verse is in B minor, which perfectly matches the story of Pink being medicated.
Hello, hello, is there anybody in there? I can ease your pain, get you on your feet.
Then when the chorus hits, it goes to the relative minor to the D major. Having the chorus be in the relative major really, in my imagination, makes it clear that the drugs are hitting in for the character of Pink, and all of a sudden everything's being released and he's kind of all in this daze of happiness. And I really like it when music matches the lyrics in that kind of way. It's just really simple, but again, really well done. On to the next one. I can't talk about great music without talking about ABBA, so now we have Thank You for the Music. The technique I want to talk about today is called authentic cadence. I'll explain this in a second, but let's take a listen first. So why does the transition into the chorus hit so hard? Authentic cadence really helps answer the question of how do you resolve a chord progression. Now this is going to feel like maths class for a second, but it'll help explain everything. If you are in the key of C major, which is using all the white keys, you have the notes starting from root C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, so on and so forth. But these notes can also be represented with a numerical value. So in the key of C major, the first note is C. So that has 1, then we go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So what is an authentic cadence and what does it do? It's when we take the 5th chord and we resolve it to the 1st chord. You might see this often being written as 5, 1. To make this even sweeter, which ABBA does a lot, they will add an extra 3rd onto the 5th chord, so they add a 7th. This creates a lot of unstableness in the chord, so it really wants to resolve to something, and when you resolve to the root chord, it just feels comforting and safe. Interestingly enough, While My Guitar Gently Weeps uses this authentic cadence while transitioning from one key to other, just as the chorus hits, so that's also a reason why I think the chorus hits so well. As I said, obviously these are not the reason why these songs are great, it's just a nice example to take a great song and show the use of techniques, which, you know, some of them may not have even been consciously aware they were doing, which is why I think it's so cool to know the name of a technique, because if you are a songwriter, you may realize, oh, I was already doing that instinctively. It's just cool to consciously know, so then when you're writing and a bit stuck, you can go, hey, what can I choose from my toolbox? Oh, maybe this thing will work. Anyways, hope you enjoyed. Subscribe.